Um,
No, you're still on.
I
All right, we're live, and
we're live.
it has been decided for me that I'm going to be playing 20XX, which is a Mega Man-like game. I've never played
Nice.
this game. This is all new to me. Oh well, that's unfortunate. See, this is why you want to keep the working class in some level of power.
Yeah. The exploding buildings and things aren't really. Do they have? Is that regulated? Is that complying with safety measures?
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to turn the mic up? I. This is a really crap mic. I apologize. And I'm not very good at this. 20XX. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, I can hear
Okay.
you now.
All right.
You might want to see if you can turn the gain up on the mic in your settings or something.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
why don't you?
Is
I'm
there a?
Ron. Is
Uh,
there a what?
I was just gonna say, is there a mic setting in the thing? Because the gain's actually turned all the way up on my on the Windows settings.
There might be. Let me look.
Uh, Technical difficulties.
No, we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here. Okay,
So why
so
don't
we've been.
you introduce yourself while I'm trying to figure this out?
All right, I am Dirty Commie Scum. I am a non-binary Marxist from New Zealand. And I make crappy YouTube videos and have 20 subscribers. So, yeah. Ron is actually one of the main reasons I started my channel. So it's really weird being on a live stream with him, um, and a bit terrifying. Uh,
Oh, don't worry. We have fun here.
all right.
So your channel was Dirty Commie Scum?
Yeah. Largely because I get called that a lot on Reddit, so I figured it was a
I'm
good
going to
channel
look
name.
that up and link it in the chat.
All right. It's got a space. I don't know why, but there is a space between Dirty Commie and Scum, but not between Dirty and Commie because I suck at formatting.
Everyone sucks at formatting. I have never met anyone who is good or even decent at formatting.
Well, that's reassuring to hear. You found me. Oh,
Yes, I did.
all right.
This is the game that is like Mega Man, but is not Mega Man, yes.
Hey, it's Pax Parallax. I've heard that name.
There is a link to Dirty Commie Scum's YouTube channel.
Nice.
Go check them out. What sort of stuff do you talk about on your YouTube channel?
I largely. Oh shit! Did I just knock the mic stand there? I largely talk about. I try to introduce people to, um, like a really basic introduction to some leftist concepts. I only started like, I think November of 2019. I might be wrong there. And so it's. I think I've only got 4 videos out right now, or 3 videos. I'm not sure there. Sorry, I'm being a bit of an idiot right now, but it's I've talked about Marxism was the only sort of video I've done a video on. It's just sort of an introductory thing about um you know how the right, it's sort of the online right has sort of poisoned just any discussion there is. Like, you can just start, you know, because I do a lot of, oh god, I'm waffling here, but I do a lot of like stuff where yeah, I'm a complete nerd and I make mods for video games a lot of the time as a hobby. And
Ooh.
there's a lot of, like, you'll just be having a normal conversation with someone and then they'll make an attack helicopter joke or something like that. And they don't sort of realize how shitty it is. And I sort of started partially because I was watching people do really well and wished I was able to do that, i.e., your channel. And partially because there's just so much shittiness that just gets sort of accepted, and I figured if I added another insignificant voice to the "hey, fuck you" sort of a thing, then I don't know. But then the next video was in response to um, Corbyn not getting elected, and I sort of ranted a bit about the fact that the sort of the way that capitalism infiltrates politics and that sort of thing. And then I did a video on Marxism, which I'm actually almost proud of. And yeah, currently trying to do a video for Rev Team at the moment. I think I've probably missed the deadline for the Solidarity one, but I'm going to talk about Solidarity in this one a little at the end. Yeah, so that's me, I guess, or me on the internet anyway. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I'm also incredibly shy and awkward, so that might I don't know if that's coming across on the stream, or rather I do,
A little bit.
but a little bit, yeah. But yeah, that it's not quite an excuse, but it's an explanation, if nothing else.
Well, I will go check out your channel as soon as I'm done with this.
All right.
Stream. I'm sorry I haven't checked it out yet. Yeah, I pulled
That's fine.
Dirty Commie Scum
Probably
from the Rev Team Discord server, which is something that we have inexplicably.
I think everything has a Discord server at this point. Yeah.
You say that like it's a bad thing. So
No, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, anyway,
I don't.
Sorry.
No, I don't know why it is that you'd want me. I don't. It was voted that I play this game specifically out of all the choices that I gave, and that's weird to me because this is maybe the game I have the least experience with. I played a little bit of it, enough to familiarize myself with the controls, but there's going to be catastrophic and or hilarious failure.
Maybe that's why they chose it.
I hope not. And so I understand that, like, you can get power-ups. I guess I'm going to do some of that.
Strange floating robot tutorializing things, I think.
I think being fast would be beneficial. You gotta go fast.
It tends to be.
We're gonna go with normal mode.
It's probably the safest choice.
So you said that you work on game mods. What kind of game mods do you work on?
I largely do mods for Morrowind. I used to do this thing where I'd try to create a little quest mod for it sort of every month, and then I realized that that was probably not humanly possible.
That's my phone. That's why I turned that off.
That's...
Actually, I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit too, because it's a little loud on my end. Is the sound okay? Can you hear the game in the chat?
For what it's worth, I don't think I can, but...
You can't?
No, I can't.
That's really
I can
weird.
see it fine. But, yeah. Yes, outgoing and awkwardish is also a valid leftist way. B dubs. I like that there's a little thing down the bottom of the streaming platform that says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Like, thanks, mate. I needed that reminder. Whoever made this website, that's everyone can see and hear us. That's better. Yeah.
There we go. I have no idea how I got through that. That was
Beginner's luck.
That was shocking absurdity. That was... Why is that a thing that I would have to deal with? I mean, I'm secretly very good at video games. It's one of my few genuine talents. What is that? Ooh, flying. But I guess Got Leg said let me do a 4-way. I guess flying is a little more useful. I don't know, I haven't played this game. Okay, can you, in the chat, can you hear the game now? I had the audio turned off. I've been having trouble with my mouse. I need to get a new mouse. It was already very old when I got it. Oh yeah, I can fly. That is already more trouble than it's worth. But it's fun.
That's what matters, I guess. Mysterious glowing green thing in the center. That's
No, it says that there's a lot of lag.
yeah. Yeah, I just figured my internet was crap.
I will work on that immediately. Hmm. I am not sure how to lower my stream resolution. Vague hope. Is there any way you could instruct me on how to do that while we are sitting here? Oh, B-Dubs is here. Hello, B-Dubs. So why don't you tell us more about, you used to mod Morrowind?
Yeah. I sort of, I don't know. I got into it because I was trying to like learn how to actually program, and then because I often get fairly depressed and then just become incredibly lazy. I really couldn't be bothered trying to learn how to program. And so I just sort of got into modding Morrowind because it was just sort of like a lot easier, and there were and I've already mentioned I'm lazy, and I just really like that game more than anything else. Even if it does turn out that the guy who did the soundtrack is kind of a complete fucking monster. Um,
I have heard about that. It is shockingly unfortunate.
yeah, it is. And, oh god, what a total creep. Um, but yeah, I was I was briefly involved in this, I think, a mod called Tamriel Rebuilt, which has been going for like 17 years or something insane like that, which is because if you know Morrowind, it's just like this island, and there was meant to be a mainland, and I think the devs went over budget or something and never finished it, or something like that. Um, so there's just been this group of people who have made the mainland for it, which, like, I think they've pretty much finished it now. I was on there and I think I did one quest, and then I had way too much other shit in my life. But yeah, that's crazy looking at that now, like just a year later, I think, and it's just completely changed. Yeah.
My dad used to do mods for Skyrim and
Ah, yeah.
Oblivion.
Ah, yeah. I think I got into it through Skyrim. I'm one of those unfortunate people who got into the Elder Scrolls through Skyrim and then played the other two ones and realized, hey, this is actually a good series. Um, I mean, yeah. Daggerfall, weirdly, I played quite a bit, which was not something I'm entirely proud of. But
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories about Daggerfall.
oh, good God, the dungeons—they're just like they're quite impressive for the fact that they're just ridiculously huge, and you just have to, in order to get through them, have rules like, okay, I'm only going to turn left, and then getting out, I'm only going to turn right, or something like that. And you don't actually do that well in them, but at least you don't get lost. And there's this 3D map thing that helps absolutely nothing.
No, that's not it.
Is
I
there a
don't think there are
No,
some
you go. Sorry.
settings bars and stuff, but I'm looking at them and they don't have the option to change the stream resolution.
Yeah. Would changing the settings in game now, that probably wouldn't help, would it?
No.
Yeah, of course not.
No, the problem is the streaming. Not it's buttery smooth on my end,
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit disconcerted because I'm here and I'm gonna try and die to the first boss for everyone's entertainment, and I want people to be able to see it properly.
That's a noble aim. A noble sacrifice, just the yeah, it's I don't know, I'm on like completely crap hardware on my end, so I can't really tell if it's going wrong or if it's just my computer, but yeah.
Hmm.
Don't suppose Google would help.
That is what I'm checking. Yeah, it's not giving me... I'm looking and I'm not seeing any options.
It was running. I think it was running fairly smoothly before, and maybe it just went through a patchy bit or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's nothing I can do about it, then there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
And either there isn't anything I can do about it, or I can't figure out how to do anything about it. I'm sorry.
It's running okay now, I think.
Well, I mean, it's running okay here, but the other people are watching it on YouTube. And what the crap is that thing?
That is a
It seems thoroughly unpleasant.
Points for creativity, as far as the art team goes. That's a unique looking little character.
God damn it. I failed to die. Of course, that is for a very good reason. Not only am I very good at video games, but I have played the shit out of Mega Man. I love Mega Man. It's one of my favorite series. It's like the original Dark Souls. If I remember reading right, I should go to this guy first, because this guy splits into different versions of himself. The boss character.
That's
He has a real-life duplication glitch. Or he has the boss version of a duplication glitch. Either way, it needs to be patched immediately.
I'm assuming it's deliberate, or...
Yes, it's deliberate.
Yeah. I like the little characters' sort of vocalizations or whatever. The little shows he's like committing to it.
I am like 80% sure that the character I'm playing is a she.
Ah, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, so...
Singular they for now, then.
That seems most reasonable.
Could be either, or it could be neither.
Damn it, I did it again!
You didn't die.
I failed to fail! This is like some Larry David shit here.
It'll happen eventually.
I mean, in the purest sense, all of us face the Reaper at the end of our lives, but
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry too much, man. The inevitability of death will catch up to you eventually. Look on the bright side.
I will try. I make no promises, but I'll put my back into it.
Yeah, just really commit to getting murdered.
Oh, that was a considerably short level.
Yeah.
Scrap recycler?
I swear if I was playing this, I'm complete crap at video games.
Oh,
so...
it's where you buy items and stuff. All right.
Ah. Just the... You get to visit the free market and enjoy all that stuff. This guy's got a weird circular saw thing.
It's like rollerball.
Just oh, he does split. Double the fun, you know. Just
This is not fun. This is the most tedious drivel I've ever experienced in my life. No, this is fun. I'm enjoying myself.
good to hear. And here's the little floaty robot guy from the tutorial or whatever.
Little floaty robot friend was from the tutorial. Now, as a Mega Man veteran, I'm going to guess that the plant character is super vulnerable to the saw that I just got.
To the saw, did you say?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
This thing. Ooh, that's fun. I'm going to use that a lot. God damn, the movement controls in this game are just smooth as butter.
I wouldn't be able to tell, but I'm really liking the sound effects. I like the sound.
Like, part of the thing about Mega Man is that there's a little bit of jank. Well, at least in the first Mega Man games, the early Mega Man games for the NES, there was always a little bit of difficulty controlling exactly what the little super fighting robot, and when I say little, I mean he's canonically shorter than 5 feet. Not height shaming.
Yeah.
He's just a tiny little robot.
Height shaming is only tolerated when it's directed at Ben Shapiro, I think, is the...
That is the leftist byline, yes.
Yes, that's... Are you familiar with the guy who created, like, a little bot that tells Ben Shapiro he's short every 30 minutes or something like that?
I am not. And while that sounds hilarious, I am of the quite contentious opinion that harassment is never acceptable.
That's probably the right take to have on it. It did lead to the glorious moment where he replied to one of its earliest comments with, I think I'm quoting correctly, "You're stupid and poor, but I can wear lifts." Which is...
What?
I think Cody Johnston, the Some More News dude or whatever, quote tweeted it or something with a little, all anyone ever needs to know about Ben Shapiro is that he once called a bot stupid and poor. But it's...
Yeah, I almost have that full set. Like if you get different armor sets, the head, Let me show you with the mouse. The head, the body, the gun, and the feet. You get special abilities. I don't know
Nice.
what special abilities. I just, you know, when I got this on sale for like $1.50, I was
Nice.
told that it was going to be shockingly difficult. That it was the Dark Souls of Mega Man games, which, being as Mega Man is the Dark Souls of classic video games, would be quite a feat.
It's pretty much harder than Dark Souls a lot of the time, isn't it? Like,
I am of the quite contentious opinion that Dark Souls is not difficult, it is just unfair at times. Well, unfair is the wrong word.
Badly balanced?
No. It's that it has different expectations of you. Like, Dark Souls expects you to understand video game design on some level.
Yeah.
Dark Souls is a video game made for people who love video games. Ultimately. Tokens. I'm not usually a fan of gambling, but...
Vague Hope in the comments, I think, has a good description of Dark Souls is brutally fair. It expects you to pay attention to the details.
Okay, let's see if this works. Yes, that does work. Haha! My previous knowledge as a player of the Mega Man games has paid off. Finally! After all these long years!
Is your character just hanging off the roof?
Yeah, there are magnets.
Ah.
Ooh, neat. Yeah, because I got that magnet thing. Nice.
Are the little scientists in the box at the end of some of the levels meant to say anything? Or I can't really read what they're saying. Combination of sort of borderline dyslexia and just not very good eyesight.
Well, when I played it the first time, they were incessantly mocking my character, and it made me angry, so I decided I was going to ignore them.
Fair enough. Is it? What's that game? Is it Dungeon Keeper, where there's like a weird demon dude in your head constantly saying, like, not the mobile version because that was crap, but there's like a weird demon or something like that.
Well, I mean, how do you know that the mobile version was crap? Did you play it yourself?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Oh. I was kind of being funny, but you have my genuine condolences. I've never played Dungeon Keeper Mobile, but I've heard stories.
Yeah,
It was a game crime.
Yeah, especially seeing as, like, I mean, the originals weren't exactly sort of gifts to the world of game design or anything, and they weren't really, like, revolutionizing the way games are played or anything, but they were fun enough, and then...
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like this gun as much as I do. Damn it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to fail. It's just not working out.
Yeah, you let us all down. We really wanted to watch you get brutally murdered.
I know. That's the only reason any person would watch. It's like the opposite of one of those streams where people do like a hitless version of a hitless run of Dark Souls.
How do people live through that? Like carefully working out how to do. Like, if nothing else, points for commitment. But
well, I mean, doing a hitless run of Dark Souls actually isn't that difficult. I've done it a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
No, that is intended to be a joke, but you can really interpret it as a lie.
You can. It's open for interpretation. Where it is all these platformers, like, you gotta wonder, in the universe of this game, what is the purpose of this building? Has it been like, I don't know the.
Well, the purpose of that building is to hide that upgrade, obviously.
Ah. Like,
I mean, I know in Mega Man there were specific in Mega Man X there were specific places that were specifically meant to hide upgrades for Mega Man. Ooh, I'm almost there. And death is very close to us now.
Draws ever closer with every breath and every second that we.
Oh, don't be melodramatic.
Hey, mate, you're the one who's desperately hoping to get murdered live on air.
In a video game.
That's true. That's true.
Like, I know that's like a joke now, but no, literally in a video game. But yeah, I played a lot of Mega Man X when I was very young. And after that, I got an NES, and Vague Hope went to bed. Good night, Vague Hope.
Good night,
sorry, I didn't notice you until just now. Or notice that you went to bed.
Oh, he looks horrifying, but not Vague Hope.
I mean, horrifying to you, but to me, it just looks like a big target.
I mean, yeah, I haven't played a lot of platformers, so I have no idea what's going on in this game. But
I mean, the central conceit is that there's the main character, and everyone who isn't the main character gets shot up by the main character. That was easy. Who told me that this game was difficult? I'm going to leave a negative Steam. At least a shockwave. What does that do? Oh, I bet that's like a counter. It's super fucking cool. I'll go with that one. Mega Man X6. I will look into that one. They on Steam they have a collection of all the Mega Man games, or all the Mega Man X games at least, and like that's something I'm going to get as soon as I can because that's my shit. Like the original Mega Man games, I can take or leave. There's like they're important in terms of video games, but they're also very flawed in that they are of their time. Huh.
Yeah, I've played a lot of old DOS games because they're free, so it's like
Wrong button.
you don't exactly.
Ha! Oh, crap. Neat.
The did the live chat like thing just disappear or something? No, I'm confused there.
Did the live chat just disappear?
Yeah, the on the it's called StreamYard or whatever. There were I don't know. You know how there's like a window for
It's still there for me.
private chat and yeah. I've just got the private chat one. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, there's one that says comments. It should be there.
Oh yeah, I see it. Live comments. Yeah, I'm back. It just sort of vanished for a few seconds.
I had a Game Boy Advance and I wanted to play the Zero games, but I could never find any of them. Like in stores and stuff. I had to get all of my games used because I was the poor.
Yeah, it's
And that's one of those games that you know people liked, so you couldn't really get it used.
Yeah, that's the like more than anything else, the fact that you're never gonna find anything anyone likes in that. Yes, Pax Parallax is talking about emulators, and
I have no idea how an emulator would work.
Yeah, I don't know about NES or anything, but I've used DOSBox an awful lot. The DOS emulator. A lot of unexplained pools of threatening looking slime in there. Oh, actual context in the Discord server talking about a surf stream.
Ooh. Neat.
I'm probably gonna get sort of gonna out myself as a pleb of leftist YouTube or whatever, but I don't think I've ever watched a surf stream or anything like that. I've seen them commenting on a lot of other people's videos, but I don't think I've ever watched a video by the surfs. Oh, I think I might.
People.
Pardon?
I said Lance is good people. Also, I'm going to check up on that real quick to see what they're talking about. I guess a second stream. I will. I mean, I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to be talking and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, I think that's I think that might be 1 a.m. in New Zealand. So
Alrighty. And yes, this game does play very cool too. Like that's one of the things I'm talking about. A lot of games make the game more difficult by making the controls a little wonky in some respect.
yeah, that's kind of a shitty design philosophy, really. We're just going to make it worse so it's harder.
Well, I mean, it's imposing limitations in some respect, and
yeah, I can.
That's not a problem in and of itself. The problem comes when, like, that's all there is to the design.
Absolutely, when people just sort of create this sort of, I'm going to make it bad. I mean, I'm going to make it hard, and that will make it good. Whereas,
like,
if it's not rewarding with how difficult it is, then
yeah, if anything, this is a little too easy. What does this do? Ooh, neat. So it's like the Firestorm ability from that one Mega Man game that I can't recall which one it is. And I'm going to guess that's going to be useful against you. Mr. Red, hello. Also, River Ransom, hello.
Oh yeah, River Ransom. They
I wonder. Ha! But yeah, the thing that a lot of people don't quite understand about Dark Souls is that Dark Souls is... okay, so the way I generally phrase it is that the best media is media about itself. Like, the best books are about books, the best comics are about comics.
Yeah, I think I can certainly see your point there. Yeah.
Dark Souls is a video game that is about video games.
I think I'd say the in my opinion, the best media is media that cares about it, or like needs to be in that particular form of media. Like,
you couldn't have a House of Leaves as anything other than a book.
Yeah, absolutely. Terry Pratchett really wouldn't work as anything other than a book either. That sort of thing. Which isn't really high media, but...
Well, I'm not a big fan of the idea of, like, high media and low media.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think...
all media is valid, unless it's bigoted.
Yeah. All... Yeah, I think when it comes to... when you start, like, saying this stuff is inherently better than this stuff, and there is, like, an inherent value to this, you just start sounding more and more like Paul Joseph Watson, and that's not a good look. Oh, you got a hat, did you?
I am not going to take that hat.
Yeah,
I'm one
really
piece of armor away from getting, like, a whole set of armor, and I want to get that instead. Because I want to see what it does. I actually read a lot about this game. I remember way back when, I was, since you brought up, I was kind of hoping that you'd only heard that review that Jim Sterling did of the Dungeon Keeper Mobile, because then I could bring up that I heard of this game through the Jimquisition, and I was like, well, Jim Sterling, you're one of my favorite people on the internet. I'm going to get this because it's right up my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It is a specific thing that in a vacuum is only okay. I mean, it's the best example of itself, maybe, but it is something that I definitely know that I like.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
So if I understand this bit here, if you fall in the water, it pushes you back? Or does that die?
Yes. When you fall in a pit, it pushes you back to the last place where you got hit.
Ah, yeah. River Ransom, yeah, I think I kind of agree with you on that stuff. I just sort of meant Terry Pratchett's writing style was actually the Discworld games, like the point and click type things, actually do a really good job of that. But I don't know, it's like the way he sort of...
Ha! It worked! At least a little bit. The fire shield is protecting me from damage. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Do I really only have 2 more bosses left? Okay, let's go with this one.
Is it actually like quite a short game then?
Well, I mean, it's based on a Mega Man game, so it's gonna be a little...
yeah.
Huh. Oh wait, I haven't even used this thing yet. What does that do? Oh wow!
You got weapons of mass destruction there.
A little bit.
You got little missiles.
I must use this power only for good. And occasional shenanigans.
What is the plot of this game?
I have no idea. In the beginning it said that all the monsters were attacking the city of Citiesville, and only the ragtag duo of robot people could stop them.
Because, you know, naturally, the whoever's running the city doesn't really have a vested interest in fixing things.
Well, I more got the impression that they were wildly incompetent and out of their league.
Yeah. I think it's probably my computer that's lagging here, but I don't entirely
No, there's more lag.
Wait.
Ah, fuck. I'm
Weird.
sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's probably just me.
I don't know
it's
what
like-
that was, but I liked it.
What were the little yellow things attacking you for a bit there?
Like those? No, they're just
Yeah.
basic enemies.
Ah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they're called, if that's what you're asking.
Mm. I was just
I am
wondering.
not. I am not in the deep lore of
Yeah, you haven't.
Mega Man XX. I haven't watched the Vati vids about this game yet. Maybe that thing I just killed had a deep and tragic backstory.
Yeah, he was.
He's mutated a result not of any malcontent, but his own hubris. His desire to protect his loved ones,
They're
etc., etc.
they're controlled by the brain of a small child that was told that it had to fight its way out, and you just killed that child. How do you feel? Shame on you. I like the little There's a little box full of robot snakes, though. That's...
Ah, damn it! I failed. Haha! I finally failed.
Did it just say? Did it just say glory is fleeting or something?
Yeah,
like
the thing is, you weren't supposed to get hit, and I got hit because they spawned a bunch of monsters that jump around and hit you. It's the game's fault, not mine. Seizing the means of shenanigans. There are no means of shenanigans. Shenaniganery is something that anyone can perform.
Yeah. Shenanigans. They just.
What is this?
They just are. They're an essential part of our humanity, and.
Ooh, nice.
Good to know that there's like a little place that you can engage in capitalism or whatever. It's a nice hat there. A little.
I think that's an interesting little touch. They make it very clear where there are alternate paths by like putting little things over there. That was a bit too much. That was a bit too much. I was a bit too fast. So, would you mind terribly if I was a little bit conceited for a minute?
No, that's fine.
You said you were inspired by my videos.
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. I just like you were one of the first sort of leftist channels I actually saw.
You have my sincerest condolences.
No, it was. I don't know. I just started realizing that there weren't just like the political videos that end up in your recommended aren't just right-wing shitheads, and there's some actually good, interesting people talking about stuff. And I don't know, it was just sort of like a little introduction of people actually talking about things that were important and actually caring about shit rather than just being, you know, complete monsters like you usually see in YouTube whenever they talk about social issues or whatever. And I don't know, I just sort of, you were one of the first sort of, is the term bread tube, is that still the term?
As far as I know, I still put that
Yeah.
in my the description of every YouTube video that I make.
Yeah. You're one of the first ones of those people I saw, and when I started just like getting more and more, well, sort of, I guess, self-righteous and became more and more of a triggered woke scold on the internet, and got
As you do.
tired of, yeah, got tired of having to explain like why I view sort of these, why I have specific views, and why no, actually I don't like Stalin or whatever it is. I just sort of remembered that there's this whole community of really interesting leftist leftist YouTubers, and you were one of those, the first people I was that introduced me to that. So yeah, I sort of ended up trying to do that sort of thing and not doing it nearly as well as any of you lot do it.
In fairness, I don't do it very well either.
Oh, I don't think that's fair. This guy just shooting yellow squares at you. Oh no, he's changed to circles now.
Death is very close now. I'm down to one hit.
Are we hoping for it or not so much?
Well, hoping is a bit strong of a word.
Yeah.
Ah! Damn. Well, there we
A lot
go.
of little icons there.
Well, see, these are the bosses that I beat. Ooh, 40 minutes. Neat. Yeah, it's like this sort of mentality that I don't like very much. I very much prefer it when people are positive and like happy about things. Like, oh, hey, like I don't need to be told that I'm doing good to want to be able to do more, but
Yeah, absolutely.
it's certainly helpful.
Yeah. Also, no, yeah, I think that the negativity side of things does come into a lot of, like, when you see people on YouTube, a lot of the leftist guys do the response videos, which I think are, they're really, really important, to see people just completely tear, fascism or whatever it is to bits, and it's always great to see. But there's a side of things where I don't want to be the guy or whatever I am. I've only just come out, so it's like quite weird referring to myself. Anyway, but I don't want to be the person who has to, like, who does too much of that. But I kind of want to be more involved in just like, hey, this is a thing that exists, or sorry.
So I guess this is the Zero character.
Wait, when you die, do you keep your progress, or do you just go right back to the start?
No, you go right back to the start. Like I said,
Yeah.
it isn't just Mega Man, it's also like a roguelike Mega Man. Parts of the level, I think, are randomized. Don't quote me on that, but Oh, but it doesn't have a charge.
So can you
No,
just
I
keep using that indefinitely?
You could, hypothetically, I suppose. But I'm not going to do that. So yeah, this character, obviously you have to get up close and personal with whatever you're trying to fight. Oh, nice. Didn't see that there. So, like, okay, what was the first video of mine that you saw out of curiosity, and like, what specifically did you think of it?
Oh god, it was I don't entirely remember. It was like try and check. I think I was. Oh, what was it? Sorry, complete crap memory.
That's all right. Like, I'm always looking for feedback for things, more or less.
I think it was. Oh god, I was just sort of most surprised. Not surprised, but like I guess it made an impact because it was. You know, I grew up as. You know, in a very, very sort of conservative area with a lot of.
Oh, the miscellaneous one?
Pardon? But it was, and I grew up fairly sort of centre left, I guess, and it was really weird seeing someone have properly left-wing views and to just be, you know, a normal-looking person talking into a camera.
I'm a normal-looking person.
You clearly haven't been to rural New Zealand.
I have not.
Yeah.
This takes a lot more concentration. Who am I going to be fighting? Oh, big face.
This guy again.
Vile visage.
Vile visage. Something rather of nightmares, did it say? Oh, he's got an eyeball in his mouth.
There are worse places to have eyeballs.
That is true.
Like that guy from Naruto who has eyes all over his arm. And like every time he uses magic, he uses one of those eyes. I don't know, I didn't like Naruto very much.
Isn't there, like, a guy in Greek mythology who just has eyes all over him? I might be wrong.
I mean, that sounds like something that the Greeks would come up with because, you know, Somebody's got to be horny for that, and everything in Greek
Yeah,
mythology
yeah.
was something that
It's
someone was secretly horny for.
is a myth.
That's a scientific fact, by the way. That's not me
Yeah.
making a baseless claim. That's literally a scientifically, historically proven fact.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I ain't kink shaming about a weird eyeball person from ancient Greece, but good for them, I guess. But no, it's deeply weird. All those like people trying to use Greece as like the sort of the incredibly conservative like shitheads trying to use Greece as an example of a good classical European culture. And then just everyone in Greece was just so very gay. It's
Well, I mean, it's not even just that they were gay; they were horny
yeah,
for
they were
everything.
yeah, pan rather. And
They were horny for eyeball person.
yeah, if it moved, they fucked it or wanted to and made up it. Which
They
you know,
had Zeus fuck everything because that was the most. They wanted Zeus to be relatable,
yeah, it's
and the inherent desire to fuck everything was the Greek dream. You know, we
absolutely
have the American dream where you work with your own two hands, and you get ahead and you
pull
get to
yourself up
be
by
like
the
a millionaire.
bootstraps.
Yeah. The Greeks had you fuck everything. The Greek dream was
Yeah.
fucking everything.
Yeah, New Zealand's one is basically some tiny bit of culture ended up outside of New Zealand, and that's our entire dream is. But yeah, Greece is a.
Well, I mean, you wonderful people have men at work.
That's Australia.
Crap. I did a fail again. I apologize. I'm not doing nearly as good with this character. Maybe the first run was a fluke. That was close. My heart skipped a beat there. I only have 1 hit point left. Wow. I'm sure there's something that like your country's entered the public consciousness because of all those bushfires, right?
That's Australia again. But yeah, that's actually that's the New Zealand dream, is not to be mistaken for Australia. We have what's her name? That singer.
You have famous animals like kangaroos, right? Kangaroos and like the wild dogs that eat babies.
Okay, so I'm starting to realize this is a joke. No, basically we have just the worst bird on the planet and a kind of slightly dull pop singer. And if you ever insult either of those things, then you are crucified for being unpatriotic and not being a proud Kiwi.
Just a sec. River Ransom. Looked it up. Barely rang a bell. Argus Pantopes.
Argus, that was it. Yeah.
Described sometimes as having 100 eyes. I wonder what they would have thought of that person in Bloodborne. That's a trick question. In Bloodborne, they wanted to have eyes on the inside. Okay. I have more Discord notifications. I'm gonna look that up real quick. See what's going on.
I think they're talking about the surf stream.
Oh no, it's. No, it's a friend of mine.
Ah, yeah.
No, but like, as someone who makes stuff on YouTube, one of my secret insecurities is that people only watch my videos to pass the time. And like, they don't absorb them. And that's like, that's something that I especially fear because I put a great deal of time and effort into constructing arguments and researching and.
Mm.
I'm not just saying random things. I put.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everyone who does videos puts a lot of effort into it. Well, I guess that's not true. You have people.
Yeah. Steven Crowder clearly doesn't, but
Well, I mean, Steven Crowder probably does. He's not who I was talking about, but no, like the Quartering or Tim Pool.
Oh yeah, the Quartering.
People who release like between 4 and 6 videos a day about the same topic.
The Quartering's worrying for the fact he does that every day, and they're all like. They're all about the same thing, and they're all over an hour long, and I just like. I don't want to feel bad for him because he's a complete shithead, but at the same time, like, I just can't help but like think.
Mike, don't you have any friends?
Pardon?
I said, Mike, don't you have any friends? Is what you would be thinking hypothetically.
Yeah. It's just like I am. As someone who's very bad at talking to people myself, as I'm sure you've worked out, it's like just imagining this poor guy who only thinks about video game feminism or whatever it is, or degenerates in the media. Just
it's so sad.
Yeah, what is his relation to his family like? Or
we can only needlessly speculate. I'm going to speculate that he was disowned by his parents for not liking Brie Larson enough.
Yeah, that or his like. No. I think it goes much deeper than that. His I don't know. Like, there's clearly he's got a personal connection to Brie Larson at some level. There's no
deeper than that.
Yeah. No. He
like,
once got turned down by someone who looked vaguely like Brie Larson, and he hasn't given it up yet.
But I could get that. Double crap. Death is close again. Let's see what we can get.
All right, I think I've got to go at this point. Um,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's been great hanging out, talking whatever, and sorry, I'm kind of crap. This is my first live stream and all that, but
Ooh,
yeah, all right. Thank you so much for having me on, and
I was happy to have you on. I'm
yeah,
trying
thanks.
to have different people on all of these streams.
Mm,
I actually don't watch movies, so I didn't watch
mm.
any of the Marvel things.
Yeah.
Maybe that makes me human trash, but
Um, no, you're not. You're not completely terrible for having missed out on the glorious cultural icon that has been the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like Odnon's comment in there about now she's a woman with a movie is. But yeah, I'll be going now, and it's been great hanging out, and hope to do it again sometime or something like that. And I'm thinking about maybe,
you're always welcome here.
yeah, yeah, all right, and solidarity and Rev team and all that. All right, goodbye, and thanks for having me on.
Take care of yourself.
You too.
And now we're waiting for another guest who wants to come on, I think. Adnan, check your Discord. Yes, you're here. I see you there. There you are. Hello.
How do I sound?
You sound fine, or at least you sound fine to me.
Oh, good. Well, hey,
There you are. Hello.
I loved.
Ooh, turn the stream off in the background.
Oh,
Or mute it, at least.
Oh, good. Well, hey, I loved.
Ooh, turn the stream off in the background. Or mute it, at least. So what's going on? Dirty Commie Scum says, so what's going on? It's been great, and thanks for having me, and I will say it was good having you on. And it was. Dirty Commie is good people.
All right, I think I muted the YouTube stream, and now I have the regular stream going. Am I good?
That should be good. Yeah.
All right. No, Dirty Commie was fucking great, dude. Those great times.
Really powered through that anxiety.
Well, I came through like a little late, but that was a good time.
It was. I had fun.
And this game is very reminiscent of Mega Man Zero.
Oh, you should have seen the other character that I was playing at. This is like very straightforwardly inspired by Mega Man.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, there it is. I was really taken aback a little bit about the Miss Marvel comment, only because, or the Captain Marvel comment, only because, you know, Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel, as it were, or Warbird, or a number of her other names, she was actually, according, well, I guess kind of bucking a lot of the SJW, the SJW's feminist agenda shit. taking over the Captain Marvel debate is that her original name was Warbird, and she had a totally different costume and all that kind of stuff. But she was the first Marvel hero I was introduced to when I was a kid. Well, one of the first heroes I was introduced to, period, actually. So I had kind of that weird, I guess you could say, advantage or disadvantage, however you look at it. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time here because the stream is very loud. And that's, I think, my settings.
Is there anything I can do about this? Is the stream too loud? I'm very sorry.
It's not you.
I mean, you say that, but people have always said that, and it's always made me more anxious.
No, we're good. But she's been one of the first characters I was ever introduced to as like a comic book person. And so going into like the Captain Marvel phase and then to the movie and all those kinds of things always struck me as very odd, only because it wasn't really ever a feminist story. And then it only became that way once the movie came out, which I do appreciate and I think is important. I haven't seen the movie myself, to be perfectly honest with you.
I've
not for any reason other than
very interesting.
Sorry?
I said I haven't seen it either, but I've read a lot about it, and it is very... It sounds quite interesting in the context of, like, especially what they do to the Skrulls.
Yeah. Well, the Skrulls have always been this sort of simulacrum of, well, I'm going to go, like, crazy bullshit, like, conspiracy Marvel guy. But the Skrulls have always been kind of an outright dog whistle. Not that they are explicitly... Well, no. Like, well, you laugh, but it's very...
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I can see that point of view.
Yeah, it's not that they are any manner of, like, Nazi or alt-right, but their whole thing, and it always has been, is that they've been the... There's always been, in the Marvel Universe, the other. There's been the mutant, there's been the hero, there's been the superpowered individual. All the while, the Skrulls have been the ones co-opting that to achieve their own agenda. So the Skrulls have always been kind of this sort of... And they take explicit cues from the Nazis. Like from day one, when they were incepted, all of these things. The Skrulls have always been a metaphor for sort of the other and not the American other. You know, Stan Lee, despite all of his very glaring oversights and bad faith situations, has always been very against the idea of, you know, Nazis, racism. If you read X-Men one time, like, it's very obvious that's not part of who he is. And so the Skrulls have always been kind of that end game where you can say we have this other that's looking to take over all of these people and co-opt these people that are the heroes. In terms of Nazism or fascism, you have, you know, Donald Trump or Richard Spencer or whomever that are looking to act as some sort of hero who are co-opting the lack of Western values. The Skrulls are not that explicitly, but that's kind of like their theme. And so one of the biggest plot points of Miss Marvel is that she is a Skrull experiment, and it's always been kind of her battle with those themes of, like, am I this horrible war machine, or do I have my own agency? Like, what am I doing? And that's been something that's resonated with me even when I was kind of like not an alt-right person, but a more conservative, you know, socially liberal, economically conservative, like all that stuff. That's always resonated with me. And so, especially with the conception of the Miss Marvel movie and the anti-feminism and all these people hating it. And again, I haven't fucking seen the movie. But just knowing the character, it's been a trip because everybody seems to think that everybody seems to think that Miss Marvel was a Mr. Marvel, and that
I mean, there was a Captain Marvel, in fairness.
Well, Captain Marvel is DC though.
No, there was also a Marvel version of Captain Marvel. He was like a Kree warrior with like armbands or something.
No, you're right. You're right. But either way, well, and you are correct. But also, like, it's still not a main plot point in DC, or I'm sorry, in Marvel for probably 20 years. He was Marvel, the Kree soldier.
Yeah.
Marvel. Captain Marvel. The term Captain Marvel was hotly disputed because of Shazam in the DC. Was known as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And so they had to rename him like Marvel. You know, just
we're getting into the deep Marvel lore here.
Their slyly feigned chagrin of like, we're not taking your hero, but we are. You know. But Marvel had been a part of the Marvel universe for a long ass time. But having like Miss Marvel was not like a thing. Probably, you know, I'm gonna Google it because I'm not familiar. Because that's one of the things that's kind of how they disputed, I guess, in the Marvel universe. No, that's Kamala Khan. Kamala Khan is 2013, and she's amazing. 1977. So anybody like crying about Miss Marvel being a Marvel superhero, like she's been that way since 1977. And she wasn't like she left like the limelight for 20 years. So she was kind of ishy popular until about 1980. She left completely until probably 2005, 2004. She left for a long time, and she would have small appearances as Warbird was her name at the time. She became Miss Marvel during the Civil War arc in the early 2000s as Miss Marvel. And here's kind of the kicker to that. River Ransom, thank you for that. That is actually, I was poorly explaining that. Thank you for succinctly saying that for the audience. Captain Marvel was the original
OG Captain Marvel.
Correct. So then we had Miss Marvel in the early 2000s during the Civil War era of the Marvel Comics. And then she became Captain Marvel, or I'm sorry, Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel. She went out into space and became like a cool space bitch, like empowered B-word lady, and just took everyone over and was like a cool person. But then there was the Arab Miss Marvel, who
Kamala Khan, who you already mentioned. Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, one of my favorite heroes of all time. Kamala Khan is so effing cool. Not only in that she had like the idyllic, she worshipped Miss Marvel, but then Captain Marvel, who was Miss Marvel, gave her the title of Miss Marvel because she was so badass. I feel like I'm talking in circles. But
It's all right.
the point is that it's not a new thing. And every misogynist, I haven't seen the movie. The movie might be bad. I don't know. But the hate of the movie always seems to be postured around this idea that they made a new woman superhero and she's this badass, like, unfeeling, uncaring woman. And how could anybody care about that? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? I get so sick and tired of this sort of people getting pissed about representation when they don't know what the subject matter is. And I know that this is like a sort of like shitty, dumb, like comic nerd, I guess, take on it. But if you go into Marvel and you think like representation is bad and I hate that and I want to see the heroes I've always seen, like for the last 50 years, they've been disrupting representation forever. It's not new. It's not interesting in terms of like their medium. You know, it's just take it as fact, or should be. And if you come in there and you say, why is there a female Thor? Or why is there, She-Hulk? Like, fuck you. Like,
Why are there worms?
Yeah. Why are there women being the powerful thing that I thought I was? That makes me so mad because I'm a man and my penis doesn't work all the time. Bah! I don't mean to shame people that may have, issues, but my point remains. God damn it.
So the thing that I'll say about the scrolls in a historical context is that, like most of the enemies that the Fantastic Four faced, they were thinly veiled allegories for an aspect of the Soviet Union. Specifically, the scrolls were, supposed to play off concerns that, like, oh, there are these people that are coming and they're going to impersonate people you care about. They're going to seem just like you, but they will secretly be your enemy.
Well, like that was sort of like the immigrant allegory. Kind of.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I mean, the thing about Marvel, and the thing that, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the things I'm saying right now, I feel like I'm going in circles, but also, like, a lot of it does reflect, like, what the American people were feeling. So, like, the immigrant threat, the Skrulls were one of, like, 1,000 different... X-Men is an entire allegory for people of color. That's literally all it is, and Stan Lee had said that.
A long-time X-Men fan, I can confirm.
Yeah, and so, the Skrulls are basically the same thing. You look at, like, the Inhumans, it's basically the same thing. They're all different. They're all representative of different facets of quote-unquote people, again, quote-unquote, invading our spaces. But the whole point of the stories, which, again, the fascists don't understand, is that these people they're not invading. They're already a part of our culture. You look at Xavier's School for Gifted Children. It's not that these people are invaded. They already existed. And they've existed forever,
It's just that now you know about it.
The Skrulls are the only one, to your point, that are actual aliens. I find the whole Skrull thing a bit problematic until the late 2000s. But the metaphor stands, you know?
If you ever watch Miss Marvel, if you ever watch Captain Marvel, you're really going to like it.
I'm gonna.
I mean, I can tell you that. What I know about it, I can tell you that you'll like it. Or at least you'll like what they did with the Skrulls.
I have a bit of what I would call a non-sexual boner for super badass women in shit, and I can tell you, I'll probably love it. As for no, I have not seen Captain Marvel, only because I haven't had access to it. Now I can buy it, and I'm gonna buy it on Friday when I have money, because capitalism is horrible.
But are you going to buy it enough?
Yes.
I refuse to take you at your word on that.
We can watch together if you want.
Sure. I spend a lot more time reading about... I don't really watch movies unless I'm watching them with someone anyway. Just because, like, I feel like I can get more reading about something than... Especially movies. Like, I'm not very good at visual language. Esper Fitzroy. He hasn't seen Captain Marvel, but he's read Captain Marvel comics for years. The comics that I read growing up were X-Men comics. Specifically, I started reading around the Age of Apocalypse, which was incredible because it was just shocking to, like, 12-year-old Ronald. Oh, wait! This person's named after a fucking atrocity. Oh, wait, no, that's the fucking point. And, like, the interesting thing about, Claremont and his run on the X-Men was...
Which is the best run on the X-Men. I mean, Claremont is amazing.
Well, it's the definitive. I don't know that I would say it's the best, but it defined what the X-Men was, and X-Men has been trying to creep out of the shadow of Christopher Claremont since the late 90s.
I was going to say the 90s. I'm a Peter David fan, so, like, I've always been an X Factor guy, like Multiple Man and all those guys, but yeah, anyways, sorry.
But the thing that always fascinated me about X-Men was that all of the villains, it's not just that the X-Men were allegories for people who were marginalized, it's that the villains were allegories for problems that those people faced. Like, Magneto was always very straightforwardly an allegory for... Well, not even an allegory. He's textually an extremist, a separatist.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah. You're
you
right.
have,
well, you know, that whole... everyone jokes about it now, but that whole phrase... I mean, and if anyone is curious, I mean, the whole X-Men cartoon from the 90s is incredible. But there's a phrase from that, which is in the comic as well, where Magneto or Magnus and Xavier escape death camps in in Nazi Germany, and they leave and they discover their mutant powers. There's a whole arc of that, and one of the phrases that happens is Magneto says, "We're the future, Charles, not them," meaning like the mutants are the future, not the humans. And Charles has this whole speech about how the humans are equally as important as we are. We're just a sort of, variant of them, and we serve to protect them as best we can with the gifts that we're given. It's a metaphor for privilege, honestly. And this is like kind of an unpopular opinion. But, think about the fact that you are a human being from birth and you turn, let's say, 16, you have this traumatic event that gives you these powers of like telepathy or like suggestion, or you can control earthquakes or, fucking lightning bolts or whatever the fuck else. And like, you have to deal with that now. And Xavier was the one who is also, Xavier's also an asshole. I want to make that very clear. But also
Canonically an asshole.
I'm sorry?
I said canonically he is an asshole, yeah.
Yeah, I mean 100%. And also kind of a pedophile with Jean Grey. But also it gave everyone the idea that like you are not different than human beings. You only have the privilege of having these powers. That's a very strong theme in all of the X-Men, is that while you are different, you need to use your powers to the benefit of everyone. Yeah, Esper Fitzroy. Xavier had some really bad and gross story arcs with kind of creeping on Jean Grey.
Really early on, yeah.
Yeah, when they've
more or less retconned that.
Well, they completely retconned it, but yeah, back in the days when you could creep on a 16-year-old, that was a kind of a big theme. So it's not a thing anymore. They've rewrote it and made it not real. But
back in the days when Jean Grey was explicitly like this wayfish.
Wayfish. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I thought that one of the coolest, cool is the wrong word. One of the most interesting Marvel X-Men comics was, to me at least, was X-Man. With the alternate version, the Age of Apocalypse version of Cable, Nate Gray.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you've got this person who has godlike power, and he just doesn't care. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna meander around doing my thing. And, like, eventually, through that mentality, he becomes this incredibly heroic figure.
Well, he also was, he ended up being, Nate Gray ended up also becoming, in an alternate universe, X-Man, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the X-Men comics.
Yeah, X-Man versus X-Men. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he became kind of this, like, sort of idyllic, the pinnacle of what the X-Men would be X-Man. And that was kind of like an extension of Cable. Having this idea where you could militarize a portion of the X-Men to... I mean, if you really read it, it's kind of a fash story in a way. X-Man, Nate Gray, also Cable, having sort of Genosha, this sort of mutant wonderland of, the perfect place for all of them to be. It kind of comes to a head in X-Men versus Avengers, which is, a more recent comic in the 2010s, where Cyclops becomes kind of a fash leader.
I have read about that and I was disappointed. Like, not even because the interesting thing is that, like, they did this thing over the course of years where the X-Men especially were pushed about as far as they could be pushed in like bad times directions.
Well, they made
And
it
like
a
you
sort
can
of utopian, like gross. They really, you're right. They made it like this gross utopian, like nasty. We need to protect our own, like that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry if I spoke for you, but I don't know.
and yeah, the X-Men were always about like that's the X-Men as a comic when Claremont was in charge of it and when Stan Lee was in charge of it was always about, oh, you had these people with these exceptional powers, but how they choose to use those powers is what determines their character. Anyone could be an X. It's not the powers that make you an X-Man. It's your willingness to protect people who hate and fear you for being different.
Yeah.
And it's like the thing with Superman. Like I was explaining to my sister yesterday, the thing that makes Superman special isn't that, like, canonically in the DC universe, the thing that makes him special isn't that he's big and he's strong. There are bigger and stronger people in the Justice League on Earth than Superman. Your average Green Lantern, if they know what they're doing, could beat up Superman. John Jones could beat up Superman. Zatanna could beat up Superman. The thing that makes Superman special is that he has this genuine, wholehearted desire to help people. And that desire is so powerful that it has earned the anemone of the anthropomorphic personification of tyranny.
There's a ton to unpack there because, unlike DC, Marvel has one of the reasons that I don't like DC, and I'm not an anti DC. Like, for instance, the Justice League, the Justice League show, the cartoon, all three of them are amazing, is because they do, there's that whole thing where, Lex Luthor is dying of cancer, and Superman feels bad, but it's from all those years of Lex Luthor holding kryptonite, like, to make sure Superman. And, like, there's all those fascinating story arcs, as to where instead of like print media, instead of like cartoon media, other than the X-Men show, Marvel never really did that. I never kind of figured out why. But Marvel never really explored a lot of those themes in any manner of like popular content. I mean, you could say comics are popular, and I guess they are to a degree, but like not in the way that, a kid is going to watch a show on Cartoon Network, And so a lot of these themes with Marvel are kind of unexplored until you have, what they call, there's that whole thing, all new, all different, Avengers or X-Men or whatever in the Marvel run, and everybody just kind of dismisses it as SJW garbage, when in reality it's, nobody looks at the fact that what are the core problems for me is like these people that are our age or older say, like, I don't know why there's got to be a female black young Iron Man named Ironheart. Why are we doing that? It's against the character, and it's ba. And you're like, well, you haven't been a Marvel fan for that long then, because this has been a thing for so fucking long. Like, the fact, like, Storm, Black Panther, all of these characters, and the inclusion was not there, but there were a couple characters that did slightly embody that. And I guess at this point, we're facing this thing where people, well, I'm going to sound like an asshole, but white people are finding these comic spaces that they thought were so inclusive to just them never were. And so we're facing this weird, like, well, I don't know why we're going to depict people that exist, because that makes me mad that there's people. You all right, Ron?
Oh yeah, it's cold and that bothers my sinuses and makes me cough a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, I'm just winding the stream down a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, I'll let me know when you want to go and I'll go. But that's like the thing that bothers me is that like there's these people that will come, they'll creep into, I guess what I call the comic sphere, and they'll try to like, extend their tendrils into all these facets of like, why does Thor have to be a woman? Or like, why does and the fact of the matter is there's two frames of thought, and I could be wrong, but one of mine is like, so for instance, Peter Parker can't be black because the core of his character is that he has white privilege. As to where Spider-Man can be everyone. Like anybody, any person can be Spider-Man. Man, woman, child, black, white, Latina, Arab, Asian, anyone can be Spider-Man. But Peter Parker, his whole character is based around his white privilege. Same with Iron Fist. Anyone can be Iron Fist. But Danny Rand, his whole thing is he's white and rich and like kind of a white savior. That's like his whole thing. But anything like, I love to disrupt characters, but like that's the thing. It's like in shattering that stereotype. So again, having Miles Morales, as I'm really overly simplifying this and I'm being a bad leftist, but having a black Latino Spider-Man is fucking great. I just, and people railing against that are they're bad people. They're not understanding the characters.
I don't think it's just, and this is something that you've touched on too. I don't think it's just that they're not understanding the characters. I think that they're not understanding the text of the things that they're talking about liking. Because it's always been about diversity.
In a nutshell. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because Marvel has always been about, like we've been saying, it's always been about diversity. It's always been about presenting different ideas. Even as far back as the Fantastic Four, you had like the Thing, who was this horrific creature that everyone was afraid of, but was still a person. Like the comic goes out of its way to demonstrate, no, he's still Ben Grimm. It's just that he looks scary.
Right. No, you're right, and I guess it just gets really frustrating. Asperus Fitzroy says, "Oh, there's a She-Hulk now," and I've encountered that in the wild a lot. The prospect of a She-Hulk movie is apparently terrifying to a lot of people.
You know what movie I'd like to see?
Which?
She-Hulk and Deadpool.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be great, especially if they did it in like the Deadpool fashion. I mean, She-Hulk has always been like this kind of hypersexualized, but like in a feminine, like empowered way. And that would be a really great fit, I think, for like a Deadpool She-Hulk.
Well,
you're right.
Back in the 70s and 80s, She-Hulk was the stock character that had this fourth wall awareness.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that would be kind of interesting.
That'd be amazing.
Also, like, I don't like Deadpool as a character. Think that uh, I think that his characterization is kind of trite and appeals to.
I
I
agree.
said before that he's the Marvel version of the Joker.
No, so
I don't like the Joker very much, so
all of the Joker's last 30 years of characterization are bad. The only good characterization of the Joker is the Batman animated series. Period. He's the only one that's interesting.
I'm going to have to very strongly disagree. I think that I disagree on a technicality. I think that the version of the Joker from The Dark Knight was the most interesting and the most redeeming quality of The Dark Knight, even if that was totally on accident.
Well, I mean, he was a sort of, I guess, the same. He was an extension of the Batman animated series Joker.
No, very much not.
You don't think so? I do. I really do.
No, the Joker in the animated series just did random things to piss off Batman because, that was his thing. The Joker. The interesting thing about the Joker in The Dark Knight is that you can make an argument that he started out and he had the explicit intent through the whole movie of disrupting the entire system under which Gotham operated. He wasn't just out to get Batman. You could look at the events of the movie and say, oh, he wanted to take down all these corrupt politicians. He wanted to take down the corrupt police. He wanted to take down Batman because Batman is Jack Bauer with super high tech. And he managed to do all of those things. You could make a very strong argument, and I know this because I've seen it. There was a I think it was a Film Joy video about it. You could make a very strong argument that the Joker is the good guy, the protagonist in the story.
No, see, I'm of the camp that Batman is a fascist in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, people use Batman as a fascist, but like that's the least interesting version of Batman.
Not explicitly, but I don't know. I still the as far as I've ever understood, the whole point of the Joker was that he had this sort of, and I don't want to go like, we could do this on another stream. I don't want to do this now, but I was only, excuse me, I was always under the impression that the Joker was some sort of random. No, not random. He hated Batman, but everything he did was to get at Batman. And I've watched the animated series like many times over, and I've always got that vibe from it as to where, I think that the Dark Knight trilogy is like a series of bad movies. Like, I like the Dark Knight and the one before it and the one after it. I hate both of them for a lot of reasons. But the Dark Knight was the only one that I liked. Fuck, that's a whole conversation, I guess. I was trying to sum it up, but I can't.
The thing that I don't like about the Joker, and this is the biggest contention I have with DC, is that the Joker as a character in a modern context, and this is true of a lot of DC's heroes too, and some of their villains that have been around for a long time, their characters are that they are their characters. Superman isn't just Superman. Superman is also the legacy of Superman. Batman isn't just Batman. He is also the legacy of Batman. Any story with them necessarily carries that 80 plus years of baggage. And to me, that's the least interesting part of either of their characters. And it's like the Joker is not just a random person. He is also this legacy of the Joker. He has a reputation to uphold, so to speak.
Sure.
Like the most interesting stories about all of those characters are stories that or at least the most interesting ones to me, are the ones that eschew that legacy, that present them in a light that is different from what. Well, I guess that's not always true. Like you can't have something like Kingdom Come without all of that legacy.
Well, I guess the only stories that I ever find interesting in DC are All Star Superman, All Star Batman, and especially with Joker. And I hate to say this, but The Killing Joke is, Alan Moore, I think, overall. And Alan Moore has said this as much of himself, but
Is that it was a mistake? Yeah.
that he's a bit of a hack. I mean, Alan Moore has said that on multiple occasions, but there's and this is a very leftist like point of view, which obviously I agree with, especially under capitalism, is that excuse me, the point that regardless of how it goes over in The Killing Joke, is that we're all literally one bad day from being the villain. Whether it's you are, and I say villain very loosely, but I mean villain is an undesirable under our system. So I'm not disparaging anyone here. But we're all one bad day from being homeless or being undesirable or being, any number of things that under capitalism are considered like a bad person or a lazy person. That's the one point that I very much agree with under that like comic. And I've been there, I've had I'm not going to get too personal into it now, but I've had family issues that have, put me in a position where I'm, on the street. I've had a lot of positions that have put me, on the side of the road begging for money, all these kind of things. And thankfully I've recovered from it. But that's one thing that rings true, like in that comic. I mean, I guess Joker be damned. But you're yawning.
Yeah, like that's exactly it. That was the point of the story, is that it doesn't matter what it is. Everyone is just one step removed from being crushed underfoot by capitalism. And instead, what people took away from that is that Joker is aware that he's this super bad dude and kind of doesn't care about it. Exactly the wrong message. They took away exactly the wrong message.
Well, and I find that fascinating because if you look at the last frame, like the last, like I think 2 pages of the comic, and you have this, Joker. What does Joker have? He has nothing. And then you look at Batman, and he has a multi-million-dollar corporation, and he's a crime fighter and all these things. And there's that point where Joker tells Batman the joke. And the fact that they both start laughing, and this is not big brain analyzation here. This is not big brain analysis, but the fact that Joker tells them the joke and they both laugh, that's kind of like that bridging between like the hyper rich and the poor in some obscure way, where it's almost like Batman, as this hyper rich guy, is really recognizing that all of his money is dog shit, and they're both kind of the same. I'm trying to think of a better way to say it, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like that, I guess, worker-boss dichotomy, where they both realize that nothing matters and they're both disposable. I don't know how to say it better than that.
They are both a consequence of they are both a result of the system that they are part of.
Thank you for saying it better than I ever could.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream there. went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but
Sorry, buddy.
talking about oh no, don't be sorry. I would have shut it down immediately if I wasn't having a good time. So yeah,
Well, thanks for having me again.
I'm terrible at being entertaining by myself. I need someone to play off of, or the bad times start.
I wholly disagree. I think you're a very entertaining guy. I'm gonna go to bed, but thanks for having me. I had a great time, and
You're always welcome.
everyone in the chat, have a great night, and I'll see y'all later.
Go subscribe to Dirty Commie Scum, and yeah, I'll see you again. I'm planning on making a video about cancel culture again.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh hell no, that is not. This is not going to be a good fun time video.
No, even so, I would love to. Well, we'll talk. All right, guys, subscribe to Ron. Love y'all. Good night.
Take care of yourselves.